the show because Steve Wiltfong of 24/7 Sports is here with us now. What's happening, Steve?
Hey, man. How we doing? Thanks for having me on. I'm doing well here, but not doing as well as the guys over there at the football facility in Knoxville, that's for sure.
Yeah, let's start there. I mean, an incredible last couple of weeks for Josh Heupel and his staff. This 2023 class is really turning out nicely. I know there's a considerable amount of time left to go in the recruiting process, but just your general observations about what this means for Tennessee.
Well, sir, anytime you look at that recruiting ranking and it's in the top 5, you got to feel really good about it. Tennessee's got one of the finest recruiting classes in the country right now. And I think, what makes me real excited about Tennessee is this. Look, Coach Heupel, his track record, his calling card, they're always going to have potent offenses. And I think in this class, in his first 2 classes, they've added guys that are going to keep that rolling. Obviously quarterback Nico Iamaleva's the jewel of the class, 5-star recruit, one of the most touted passers in the country. And, Ethan Davis is one of the finest tight ends in America, and Cameron Seldon's one of the more dynamic guys. And I think you got some guys last year, Justin Williams and Caleb Webb, that I think are going to be awesome for y'all. But defense is what's going to help get this program out of the mediocre state it's been in since 2007. And I think that if you look at some of the guys that Tennessee's recruited in the front 7 over the last 2 cycles, there's a lot of guys that can put a lot of pressure on the quarterback and go out and make things happen. Some of these guys might need some development, Shandavian Bradley included, the 5-star who committed over the weekend. But there's a lot of upside, and then there's also a lot of guys that have proven that they can be very disruptive behind the line of scrimmage. In this class, Caleb Herring has done that. Nathan Robinson has made a living behind the line of scrimmage as well. And then again, you look at the 2022 class that was a top 25 haul. James Pierce Jr. wouldn't be surprised if he ultimately blossoms into one of the SEC's best pass rushers. And I think Joshua Joseph is wired right. He's going to be an awesome player for the Vols. So the way that Tennessee is recruited in the front 7 and getting guys that can go get the quarterback, I think that's what's most exciting to me, because the offense is a given to me. Now, I'm not saying I take it for granted. You got to go get players, and they've done that. But I think there's been some real exciting pickups on the defensive side of the ball.
At S. Wiltfong 24/7 is where you can follow him on Twitter. The director of recruiting for 24/7 Sports, Steve Wiltfong, is here with us on 104.5 The Zone. The criticisms of Josh Heupel coming from UCF to Tennessee, one of the biggest ones as we were kind of learning about him, for those who weren't consuming UCF football on a regular basis, even as Heupel's been a part of the college football landscape for a long, long time now. One of the biggest knocks on him was his ability, or lack thereof, to recruit at a high level at UCF. As somebody who covers this stuff, so intricately, Steve, was that a fair criticism of him in his previous tenure?
For me, I view those Group of 5 programs and some of those, lower tier Power 5 programs. That's more of an evaluation and player development game, right? You're getting guys that fit your scheme. You're out there mining for talent, and I'm looking for guys that fit what you're trying to do schematically, culturally, and at Tennessee, you're in there recruiting a lot of no-brainers.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different of a deal. And I'm not saying that Tennessee's not going to have their gems that they go out and get. You look at the linebacker that they landed out of Grayson over the weekend as well. Jalen Smith, he had like 175 tackles last year. It's hard for, at UCF, that was a program that he took over that was coming off some super successful seasons, and playing at an incredibly high level. There really wasn't, it was either maintain that or take a dip, right? There wasn't much more runway for that thing to go further. But I'd be lying to you if I was in the weeds looking at UCF commits and telling you if I love their class or not,
Right.
or if they were doing a great job. I just know at Tennessee, through 2 classes, they've had a top 25 haul, trying to get a top 10 haul. I think they got some good players on defense. There's some guys that have a lot of potential. I think, you look at the state of Georgia. The Bulldogs are going to have first say oftentimes on who they get. Then you got Alabama, Clemson's coming in there and swinging too. But there's enough good players to go around, and recruiting's who you get, not who you don't get. And I think in Tennessee, they go into the state of Georgia, and you get Caleb Williams or Caleb Webb and Justin Williams, and you went out for James Pierce, who you had visited 6 times. Those, in my opinion, are guys that can help you, defeat the teams that maybe weren't pursuing them as hard as you were.
Steve Wiltfong here with us on 104.5 The Zone. Everything happening in the world of recruiting, Steve, is the University of Miami Mario Cristobal experience going almost as well as they could have possibly imagined?
Well, I would think this is what they imagined, right? Coach Cristobal is one of the best head coach recruiters in the country, and it's going to be the focus of that organization every day: recruiting, top targets, staying on them. Are we doing all the right things we need to do to land these kids? It's a major priority for Coach Cristobal, and so obviously it's starting to resonate. They're getting hot right now because their targets are ready to decide. Sometimes you hear people that are out here judging programs and their quote-unquote slow starts on the trail. It's only a slow start if all the guys you're recruiting are committing elsewhere.
Right.
If the guys that you're recruiting haven't made a decision yet, it's not fair to say it's a slow start. And a lot of the guys that Miami's in on now are making their decisions, and quite a few of them are going their way.
Steve Wiltfong, 24/7 Sports, 247sports.com is where you can read all of the exhaustive coverage that they are providing. At @SWiltfong 24/7 is where you can follow Steve. Thank you for the time, buddy. I appreciate it. I know you're busy.